Today is gonna be a sad. I'm not feeling doing this video because we're gonna talk about a subject that I've been talking about for a while. Mistakes and errors that we nurses make. And by now, if you didn't get it, I don't know what to say. Costs you. Medication error can cost you your life. Medication error can cost you your life. I want to talk about mistakes in nursing that at some point in your nursing career, if you haven't, you're lucky, you have made some form of mistake. The outcome might be a slap on the back or just termination of your job, but it can be serious. I wanted to come out here and say medication errors, and I did a couple of videos on that if you want to take a look. But before I start, I want to say thank you for stopping by, my loyal subscriber, and I know who you are. Thank you. And if you're new to my channel, please give me a like, comment, notification button twice so that you will know when I post. On this channel, we talk about, it may sound a little negative to some, but it's actually to keep you safe. So I can't speak falsely so that I could get a lot of ratings and make a lot of money on YouTube. I'm just trying to be honest, to give it to you raw, the truth, so that you won't make some of the mistakes that I have made in my 30 plus years, going on 34 years now in nursing. So here we go. Let's start. I wanted to, talk about, there was a nurse. I read it. I didn't know this was going on in Tennessee. Her name is Radonda, and I'm sorry if I mistaken her name. Medication error. Here we are again in 2022 coming up with this topic, medication errors, how to keep you safe. Apparently what happened, and just by reading, I think they convicted her. I have never in my nursing career heard of a nurse medication error went that far. Maybe it's a new thing. I've witnessed when the police comes in and take the nurse who were diverting the medication. Yes, I know that. But in this case, it was not that. From what I gather and read about Radonda, it was an elderly patient, and she was going for MRI or X-ray or something like that. Don't quote me. I'll probably leave the link so you can read the facts, not what I say. And so usually they give Versed 2 milligram, and it calms the patient down, because we get all anxious when we in those dome. Patients tend to get a little anxious. So Versed can calm the anxiety. It's like a sedative. And also, there was another medication, same with the V-E, I'll spell it because you know how I am pronouncing the name. That's probably why I don't get mistakes with the drugs. I get a lot of written up for looking up the drugs on Google, but I thank God because it keep me safe. So anyway, I'll spell it for you. VECURONIUM. And what it is a muscle relaxer. And so she gave that drugs instead of the Versed. How it happened, I'm not clear. But if I'm telling you about the Pyxis. The Pyxis is, and I've had the Pyxis in Philadelphia as an LPN in the nursing home. That's how advanced the nursing home. Pyxis was in the nursing home. So I was using that. Pyxis, you pull the drugs. You got to be finger swiped. They're always watching you. There's a camera in there. And the drugs that you want. The only mistakes I would say that is frequent, and I've made it a couple times with the Pyxis, is I would take the drugs and it will be a narcotic, and somehow the count is off. And when the count is off, there's a printer come out that error, which is me, did the mistake. And what I usually do, get on the phone. First, I ask one of the nurse to come with me so we can count the meds before I even give the patient. This got to be clear. I don't wait for, some people wait forever or the end of the shift, whatever. Take the paper and wait. I want it done. I want that error straightened out before I continue. And sometimes the nurse that working with you may not be able to help you. She may ask for you to ask the pharmacy. So I usually call the pharmacy, may have to come, and you count with the pharmacy to make sure the narcotic, based on what I took out. When I took out one, it's saying 3 left, but then it was only 1 was in the Pyxis that I took out. So now it's 0, but it's saying 3 should be in there. So the pharmacy has to come to verify that. Or the charge nurse or supervisor, if they can do it and clear out it and restart the count. Those are the major errors that I have been making. Another error that I find myself making too, and over the years, I've become slower and look at the meds coming out the Pyxis, because believe it or not, the pharmacy makes mistakes too. They don't want to say it, but they do make mistakes. And I'm going to tell you what kind of mistake. The wrong medication you dispense in that slot in the Pyxis. The wrong dose, the wrong strength, the wrong form of medication. You need to. So when it comes in front of a judge, they don't care about the pharmacy mistake. They care about you that give that wrong medication. So you should be able to, like me, get in trouble, look it up. If it's a name, and it could be a med name that I know, and it sounds different, I just look it up. That's the only way. Let me look my glasses, because I'm going to get ready to tell you some of these medication that is easily for nurses to make mistakes. Adderall, ADHD, Adderall XR. XR is the long term. So doctor may insight, they give that. Doctor may ask you to verbal order of Adderall, but you write Adderall XR. So be very careful. Or the doctor might order Adderall XR, but you pull in the Pyxis Adderall. So you got to be very careful. Another name that they're confused with is Depakote. That's for psych patient. Or Depakote ER, which is long term. ER is the long term. So it's confusing. Another one is Claritin D, antihistamine. Or Claritin D24. 24 means 24 hours. It's help you for 24 hours. So these are medication that you got to be specific, not specifically these medication. So what I do when I go to the Pyxis, I make sure, double check the medication that I'm picking out the Pyxis. I make sure the medication that I'm taking out of the Pyxis is the medication that the doctor ordered. And you know, you have the computer right there in the Pyxis in front of you that you can see. You can go into your patient profile and see the medication and double check. But what happened is the slot is a little slot, and they may have like Tylenol, let's say Tylenol, and I go in there, it says number 34, and I go in there and picked up 34, but if I didn't look at it, I would take it to the patient. Patient just had Motrin, because see what I mean? In the Tylenol slot, they have Motrin, so it's easily to make those mistakes. But in the case of the nurse, and I think that's what she said, she got too relaxed, relying on their medication dispenser. And I don't know if it was a Pyxis or they have others. I'm not sure. But she should have look up the medication that she was given. And I think in an emergency, it was an emergency, and sometime in emergency you can override to get those narcotic. If not, the pharmacy can give it to you, can override it for you. But what the Pyxis does, it asks you, are you sure you something to that effect that you want this? And are you overriding it? And if you do, then you pick that. It could, and that's what happened. She's going to jail, or she's probably in jail by now. And I feel sad about that. I'm sad about it because it was it was a mistake. And I know the family is in distress, and I feel for them too. And I wanted for you to know that you have to, even if the patient is calling you, everything is shutting down and people calling, you gotta take time and read those labels. Read what you're picking up, because you could easily, at one point, like I said before, in the pandemic, when I was in Texas, I literally stopped at the patient room because I was going to give the wrong medication. And that's true. My tiredness, working 12 hours, 21 days straight, I could not function. And at that point, I felt I had to caught myself. Darn, I was going to give that medication to somebody and I could have lose my license. So what I want to say is, don't ever get relaxed, because the pharmacy is not going to be blamed. It's the nurse that gave the medication. And if you by any chance you did give the wrong medication, the immediate signs, Q 15 minutes or Q 5 minutes, hour, I would be so devastated. My anxiety would make me take the vital signs. I would say, was monitoring the patient, or did she monitor the patient? I would do that, get on the phone, call the doctor, explain to him that was a medication error, because you have to let them know. You have to let the hospital, doctor first, supervisor next, tell someone. Now, and the reason why I say that, because I was reading some comment was saying that she was honest in saying that, she came out and said she thinks that she made a mistake. And people in the comment was saying that, why did she tell? Would you want someone to just hold that in? How could you hold that in if you have a conscience? And a lot of people said she should get a lenient sentence because she came in honestly and said she made the mistake. She did not look, or I don't know, she got too relaxed that the pharmacy going to spill out the right medication. As a matter of fact, sometimes those machines break down and that could cause confusion. So you got to be aware of that. So I wanted to come out here and tell you, this is serious. This is serious. Your license, you got to, at all times, you got to protect it. Protect it, because once one state knock you down, you lose everything. Everything that you work hard for. So those mistakes, double check those pills. Double check again when you get in the patient room. Double check, ask them their name. Look at the name bearing. You know, the 5 rights is there for a reason. And now they have it as a 6 rights. Medication. Medication error is a serious situation. Because, and it do cause, when you're tired, you're slack, you just grab it, and that's when everything just fall apart for you. So you got to take time, take a deep breath. The patient's going to be angry that you taking so long, but you keeping safe with your license. That's the bottom line, because it doesn't make sense in the end when you are in jail and say, darn. So I felt bad about that, because, you know, I've been talking about medication errors and how we could keep our license safe. And it's just everything is against us. And a lot of people, including myself, seeing that there's a shortage of nurses. And it's not shortage because by choice. It's shortage because the administration figure out that we don't cooperate, we don't stick together, so, or we'll take anything they throw at us, we take it like a lapdog. So when we short, we work short. And when you work short, you make a lot of mistakes because you're tired. I'll be honest with you, those 60 patients that I talk about, it was very difficult for me. And I had to juggle and pray. And I had to say, many a nights going home, I don't even know if I did the right thing. I just did what I could, because it's hard dealing with 60 patients, trying to give them everything. I remember one time, because apparently the nurse, you know, some nurse, they're so super nurse. They do everything right. They come in and they do their dressing and everything. And I remember I was so overwhelmed. I had blood running, like three patients with blood running at the same time. And they expect you to run because you don't have any help. 60 patients. And I had some wound and I didn't do the treatment. The nurse complained and report me because she put her signature on the band or the dressing. So she knew that I didn't do it, and I didn't do it. I honestly didn't. I didn't have time. I was just running all day, because by the time you finish one medication, and these are geriatric patients, so they get cups and cups full. Here I did some of the blood for her any day now, and I used to do a lot of overtime. I just cut back because I find like, let me know in the comment, nurses, when you go in on your day off, doesn't everything happen that you feel like you should have stayed home? Yes. I remember another story I'm telling now about medication. And so I was counting, and I think I was new to the nursing home. I was new to that nursing home. And I was being on orientation. And when you were new and you're on orientation, and I was a fairly new LPN, and the supervisor came and she asked for the keys. And I gave her the keys, and I went on and do it. And then she do what I had to do, and she came back and she gave me the keys. And I didn't think about it because I don't have any narcs to give. So, and I know I counted this morning with the nurse that was leaving. And so she came back and I had to count with her. So when we counted, the count was off. Want to know? I felt so scared. I know I didn't take no Ativan. I know I didn't take that Ativan, but I couldn't find it. I couldn't prove it. And here it is, the nurse count. She get the supervisor and they think I took it and I was suspended and everything. And we couldn't find the Ativan, so I had to go. So a couple days suspended, came back. And guess where they found the nurse? That supervisor in the bathroom. And the rest is history. You can think about what that is. Here I am, a new LPN. Got caught up in it because I don't have any knowledge of somebody in nursing was going to do that to me. So you got to be very careful at all times. Another thing is, just read the label. When the doctors kind of rush you when they doing verbal, but now with the computer system, like they all have computers in Philadelphia, including the nursing home. That's a law. So with Epic and the various computer system, the doctors, when they call me and ask me to put in a verbal, I do it in Philadelphia. And when I'm traveling, I don't do it. But I said to them, doctor, aren't you able to put it in? You got to tell them because they would rather you put it in. And then something happened. I would prefer if the doctor put his order in and then I take it off. But there's sometime he might give you a verbal order. So just double check it. Repeat it. If you have to repeat it twice, he may call you stupid or whatever. Just repeat it. Tell him, I just want to be safe, doctor. That's what you want. Are you sure you want Depakote XR? Oh, no. I meant Depakote. See how easy he could let you write Depakote XR, but really what he meant. So if you can think about this, your job as a nurse is also to help the doctor. Because if your patient has been on Depakote for a while and suddenly the doctor want to change it, not change it because he has a lot of things going on in his head and a lot of responsibility. So he might just blow it out, just give the Depakote XR. So as a nurse, you could say, doctor, are you sure? In a nice way. Doctor, are you sure you want Depakote ER? Because he's been on regular Depakote for a while and his levels, you got to hit him like you know something. Because if you don't, he'll think, And his levels is up to par. And are you sure that's what you want? And he may realize, oh, that was a mistake. I meant Depakote. So you're also the advisor, the help for the doctor, if you can think of it that way. That's how you get along with him. So I'm very cautious about, the errors, the medication errors that could cost you life. Now here it is, a nurse her livelihood is gone. I'm not sure how long is her sentences, or maybe because it was in Tennessee. It's sad. It's really sad, to hear that this happened, and we need to be more careful. And also, one of the things that I learned to do over the years, making mistakes, if I'm in a situation like in the Pyxis and I'm pull out something, I may call. Sometimes I'm working with travel nurses that I already know, and I will say, Sandra, can you look at this? And and can you tell me, calculation? And if we can't get it, first of all, we call pharmacy, and pharmacy will help us. So utilize the resource that you have there. And if all hell broke loose, you pull up Google and look it up, because you'll get the information. If you feel like you don't want your nurse friends to know, you looking up Versed, you pull it out. Go to the bathroom and pull it out. Keep yourself safe. You're there. Your license depends on it. It's your livelihood. Your family needs you. Do that. Do that. Don't jump into something. Because the doctors, the patient is coding, and you pulling out stuff that you don't know. I gotta look it up, and I'm sorry, I can't give it. You want to give it? That's what I say. You want to give it? Because I gotta know what I'm giving. Or they ask you to give medication. Nurse asks you to write a verbal order that she got from the doctor. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you. She'll call you at home and say, oh, I forgot to write this verbal. Can you write it for me? No, you are not giving me a verbal order. You are a nurse just like me. You better come in here and give it or write it. Fax it in. Do something, because I'm not taking it. Don't do that. So what's another one they like to do? Or the doctor say, give IV, or can you give codeine to the patient, Mrs. Jones, now, stat. Doctor, are you going to write the order? Because I'm not moving. I mean, I don't say that. I'm saying it in my mind. Because unless I see it in the paper or in the computer, that order, then you don't run to give it. Because what happened is you may take his mouth and you run and give it, and then